Poor single dad cried at a grave. The millionaire said, "That's my husband's grave, who are you?" The rain began gently, soft enough to be ignored, heavy enough to soak through cloth and burden a heart that was already drowning. Adam Malik didn't notice. His jeans clung to his legs, his jacket sagged with water, but none of that mattered. He knelt on the cold ground before a polished headstone that carried his wife's name, Sana Malik. He brushed away the fallen petals on her grave, rearranging the fresh white roses he brought every week. Sana had loved white roses, simple, pure, full of hope. The kind of hope she used to bring into their tiny home every time she smiled. Adam wasn't a man who cried easily. Life hadn't given him that luxury. Since her death, he woke up before dawn, packed Aisha's school lunch, worked 2 jobs, and came home only to fall asleep on the sofa out of sheer exhaustion. But here at her grave, his chest loosened, his eyes burned, and the truth finally broke free. "Aisha asked why you're taking so long to come home," he whispered, brushing his thumb across Sana's picture engraved in the stone. "I told her you're resting. But she asked, why do moms rest forever?" His voice cracked. The rain drowned the sound, but his pain was louder. "I don't know what to tell her anymore," he murmured. "I'm trying, Sana. I'm really trying. But I'm tired. I'm so tired." A gust of wind blew through the cemetery, rustling leaves and pushing rain sideways. Adam bowed his head, forehead nearly touching the wet stone, letting the storm hide his tears. He didn't hear the footsteps until they were close, too close. At first, he thought he imagined them. Nobody came to this side of the cemetery often. Most graves here were older, weathered, forgotten. But the steps grew louder, more deliberate. He quickly wiped his face and stood up, embarrassed. He didn't want anyone to see him like this. A woman in a sleek black coat stopped a few feet away. Her presence didn't belong in a place like this. She was too polished, too controlled, too elegant. Dark hair, tied neatly. High heels sinking slightly into the wet ground. A leather umbrella folded in her hand despite the rain. She studied him with unreadable eyes. "You're here again," she said softly. Adam blinked. "Again? I've never seen you before." Her brows narrowed, confusion flickering across her face. She stepped a little closer, pointing, not at Sana's grave, but at the grave beside it. "My husband's grave," she whispered. "He's buried here." Adam followed her finger. The grave next to Sana's was impeccably maintained, fresh flowers, neat candles, not a leaf out of place. The stone was expensive, marble dark and glossy, engraved in gold lettering. Ahmed Hamid, beloved husband, 1979, 2023. Adam swallowed. A millionaire's grave, clearly. He had seen this type before, ornate, designed to last centuries. But he'd never seen this woman, and he certainly never touched her husband's grave. She didn't seem convinced. "I don't mean to intrude," she said, voice trembling despite her strong posture. "But every week I come here, I find flowers beside my husband's grave. Toys, notes." Her gaze hardened slightly. "And none of them are from me." Adam frowned. "Ma'am, I've never left anything on his grave. I'm here for my wife." She blinked rapidly. This time, she looked truly shocked. "Your wife," she whispered. She shifted her gaze to Sana's name, her eyes tracing the letters slowly, as if memorizing them. "I thought," she muttered under her breath, "this space was empty." Adam crossed his arms, uncomfortable. "Is something wrong?" The woman hesitated before speaking again. "I'm Zara Hamid," she said. "My husband was a businessman. He died 2 years ago." Adam nodded awkwardly, unsure what she expected him to say. People died every day. Everyone here had lost someone. But Zara wasn't finished. "When he bought this grave," she said, touching the marble gently, "he bought 2 plots. Side by side. One for him. One, for me." She looked at Sana's grave with disbelief, her breath stuttering. "This grave," she whispered, "was meant for me." Adam stiffened. He had never heard anything so bizarre in his life. "That can't be right," he said. "Sana's burial was arranged by the hospital. There must have been a mistake." Zara's eyes flashed with a mix of anger and fear. "A mistake? This cemetery is private, exclusive. You don't simply, mistakenly, bury someone here." Adam suddenly felt nauseous. Sana's burial had been the only part of that devastating week he didn't fully understand. Papers were rushed. Hospital staff spoke in hushed tones. One signature missing here, another one needed there. He was grieving, exhausted, overwhelmed. He didn't ask questions. Zara stepped closer. "Your wife, how did she pass away?" Adam's jaw tightened. "She fell ill. Suddenly, the doctors said they did everything. Zara's expression shifted, sympathy mixed with suspicion. I'm sorry, she said softly. Truly. She walked to her husband's grave and placed her hand on the cold stone. My husband had many secrets, she whispered. Business rivals, hidden deals, and when he died, I realized how much I didn't know about him. She turned to Adam, and now I find your wife buried in the place meant for me. A place my husband protected. The air between them thickened, heavy with unspoken possibilities. Adam took a step back. His pulse quickened. Are you saying, my wife was buried here intentionally? Zara nodded slowly. Yes. Why? He demanded. Her answer came like a strike of lightning. I don't know, but I intend to find out. Adam felt as if the ground beneath him shifted. Zara looked at the two graves, side by side, and whispered, almost to herself. They died a year apart. They're buried right next to each other. And you claim not to know my husband. Adam shook his head vigorously. I don't. I never met him. Zara's eyes darkened with realization. Then someone, she whispered, didn't want us to know the connection between them. A chill ran down Adam's spine. Connection? What connection? He stared at his wife's grave, the one place he felt safe, and suddenly, he wasn't sure he knew anything at all. Poor single dad cried at a grave, the millionaire said, that's my husband's grave, who are you? The rain had slowed, but the storm had already settled inside Adam's chest. His fingers curled into fists as he stared at the confusing hospital record displayed on Zara's phone. A large payment, a mysterious note, a date, the day before Sana died. His throat tightened. She was stable, Adam whispered, breath trembling. I remember, the doctor said she was improving. She even smiled at me the night before. His voice cracked. She told me she felt hopeful. Zara watched him, her sharp eyes softened with sympathy. She wasn't just a millionaire widow now, she was a woman haunted by her own unanswered questions. I know what sudden loss feels like, she murmured. And I know when something doesn't add up. She stepped closer, lowering her umbrella to shield both of them from the misty rain now drifting through the air. Adam, she said softly, I need you to listen. My husband, Ahmed, suffered a massive heart attack 2 years ago. He survived, miraculously. The doctors told me a donor became available at the last second. But the donor name was never revealed. Adam's breath hitched. Organ donor. Zara nodded, her voice dropping to a whisper. A heart. Adam staggered backward. No, Sana was alive. She had her own heart condition, but she didn't, no one told me. Zara raised both hands. I'm not saying she was the donor. I'm saying, it's suspicious. Your wife worsened the same night my husband received a miracle. And now she's buried in his reserved grave space. Someone connected these two events. Adam felt a buzzing in his ears, like the world was dissolving. His knees felt weak. That's impossible, he muttered, more to himself than to her. Zara shook her head. Not impossible. Hidden. Lightning cracked in the sky, illuminating the cemetery in a harsh white flash. Zara flinched but kept talking. Ahmed worked with people who could make things disappear. Records, names, mistakes. Adam frowned. Mistakes, or crimes, she whispered. A cold shiver ran down his spine. Adam remembered the hospital staff avoiding his eyes. The rushed paperwork, the nurse who said, these things happen quickly, then disappeared. He had been overwhelmed with grief, vulnerable, distracted, lost. He didn't question anything, not then, but now Zara stood in front of him with answers that only led to more questions. What do we do? Adam finally asked, his voice barely steady. We investigate, Zara replied firmly. Together. She tapped her phone. And we start with the doctor who signed off your wife's death certificate. The visit to the hospital. The hospital lobby smelled of disinfectant and stale air. Adam's heart pounded as he walked in beside Zara, who moved with the confidence of a woman who never heard the word, no. People stared. Everyone recognized her, the millionaire widow of Ahmed Hamid, a man once powerful enough to influence half the city. The receptionist swallowed nervously as the two approached. We need the files for patient Sana Malik, Zara said coolly. The receptionist blinked. I'm sorry, ma'am. We can't give out. Zara slid a business card across the counter. The logo alone made the woman's eyes widen. I'll wait, Zara said. The receptionist nodded so hard she nearly dropped her pen before scurrying away. Adam stared at Zara in amazement. You're terrifying. Zara smirked. You get used to it. Minutes passed before a doctor walked out, the same one Adam remembered from the worst day of his life. Dr. Khan. Gray hair, tired eyes, a face that had avoided his gaze when he delivered the news of Sana's sudden death. And the man whose name was on the shady payment record. He froze when he saw them. Mr. Malik, I didn't expect. You took money before my wife died, Adam snapped, unable to control his anger. Dr. Khan's face drained of color. It's not what it seems. Zara stepped forward. Explain then. Dr. Khan swallowed. His fingers trembled slightly. There was pressure, he whispered. From people you don't want to cross. From Ahmed, Zara asked sharply. The doctor's silence said enough. Adam felt sick. You moved her room, Adam whispered. Why? The doctor shut his eyes as if bracing himself for impact. She was chosen. Adam's breath stopped. Chosen for what? He asked slowly. Dr. Khan looked at him, guilt consuming his expression. For a transfer. Transfer, Adam repeated numbly. The doctor nodded weakly. A transfer to another facility. Another unit. Private. Off record. I was told she was being given special treatment. That it was urgent. Adam steadied himself on the wall. Was she alive when she left your hospital? Zara demanded. Dr. Khan hesitated. And in that hesitation, Adam found his answer. He grabbed the doctor by the collar, tears spilling down his face. Was she alive? The doctor squeezed his eyes shut. Yes. Adam's legs buckled. Zara caught him by the arm. Dr. Khan continued, voice barely audible. She was alive when she left here. After that, I don't know. They didn't tell me anything. They just paid me and told me to sign the certificate after. Adam's vision blurred. His wife wasn't dead when he last saw her. He felt like his heart had been ripped apart. Zara's expression hardened to stone. Give us the address of the private facility, she said coldly. The doctor looked terrified. If I do that, they'll find me. Zara stepped closer, her voice sharp as a blade. They'll find you anyway, but help us, and maybe you get protection. Refuse us, she leaned in. And I'll make sure your face is on every news channel by tomorrow morning. Dr. Khan stared at her, at the fire in her eyes, and cracked. He scribbled an address on a notepad and handed it to her with shaking hands. Adam looked at the paper. A remote location, outside the city, a place he'd never heard of. What is this place? He asked. Dr. Khan whispered. A recovery center. Experimental. Secret. Rich people go there for procedures no one talks about. Zara and Adam exchanged a look. A look that said, we're not just grieving anymore. We're hunting. The graves, the truth, the future. As they returned to the cemetery later that night, the rain had stopped. The air felt electric, charged with a truth too heavy to ignore. Two graves stood side by side. Two lives intertwined without their consent. Two families connected by betrayal, money, and silence. Zara touched her husband's stone. If he's involved, she whispered, I need to know what kind of man I married. Adam looked at Sana's grave, fists clenched. And I need to know what they did to my wife. Zara placed a firm hand on his shoulder. Tomorrow, she said, we go to that facility. Adam nodded. For the first time since Sana died, he felt something other than grief. He felt purpose. He felt fury. He felt hope. And he wasn't alone anymore. Zara stood beside him, rich, powerful, determined, and together, they were no longer victims. They were a storm ready to uncover the truth. No matter the cost.